Good morning, friends. It is 6 o'clock on Sunday, the 29th of December. Wow. It's amazing that I remembered the date because it's hard to remember days when you're on holiday, especially between Christmas and New Year's. It all gets muddled into one day. So, welcome back to Three Barrow Farm. For those who are new here, my name is Amy and I live in central Victoria, Australia with my family of 5, and we grow a lot of our food, and right now is the growing season. And this morning I wanted to talk to you about potatoes. So this morning I've come out into the garden. I've been working really hard the last couple of days. I've been weeding, I've been tying up my tomato plants and other things that need staking. So I've staked a few of my zucchini plants, and I'm getting pretty excited because I'm almost at the point of being able to harvest my first zucchinis. It feels so late in the season for me, but because of that frost, that late frost that we had, which killed a lot of my summer plants, most of them, I'm harvesting later this year. So especially zucchinis, I usually have been harvesting them for a bit by now. But next to me here I have some potatoes. These ones I believe I planted earlier than a lot of the other ones I have in my garden. I shall try and locate the date and pop it on the screen now. And they never really did too well. I believe they had too much water when we were getting all those downpours. We were getting a lot of rain, and some of them just went a bit yellowy and some of them have died off. Others are still going fine in the exact same patch, so it's quite interesting. But what I wanted to do this morning was harvest the ones that have died back completely, and let's see what's there. But I also wanted to mention that my potatoes in the tubs, I put only cow manure in these pots with the potatoes, and in that wet weather again, one of them rotted and the plant just died. And it died early on, so not like these ones that have just died off now. This one, I just came to the conclusion that the whole entire potato that I'd planted in that pot had rotted, and I dug it up and I was correct. The second pot that I have potatoes in, it's done a similar thing. It has one plant that is growing still, so I'm leaving it. I'm not digging it up yet, but I feel like the manure brought in too much moisture when it rained. It wasn't draining enough, and it didn't work. So I might change it up a bit next time and experiment again with putting potatoes in tubs. I haven't done it before, so I might actually try a Hessian bag because I've got quite a few Hessian bags I've kept aside. But growing them in the garden always seems to be highly successful for me, and because I've got the space, I don't really need to grow them in pots. But I was just interested in how they would go, so I'll report back when that second tub has finished growing, and we shall see what we get. I should mention too that with those tubs they did get attacked by the frost, that frost that we had, so that could have been a contributor, and also bringing moisture to the potatoes, and well, they could have died from that. I'm unsure as to whether it occurred around the same time, but that is quite a possibility as well. Okay, so here we have one of the dead potato plants. Right next to it is this pumpkin that has just decided to grow. It's come up from the compost that I put in this area. I've also got a tomato plant growing here that just randomly come up by itself. And I've got some radishes, which I will harvest because that one's going to seed, and some of them I can use today in my lunch. This potato plant is doing okay. There's one in here which got taken over by this dandelion plant. So whether I dig this one out now or I leave it till later, I'll decide in a moment. And then I've got this one here which has died back. This one here is dying back as well, but it's still got some green on it. And then over here we've got another one that's died back. So out the front here, definitely we're going to harvest. We'll see what we can harvest, and I'll definitely be taking out these radishes. Okay, so I'm using a spade because my garden fork needs a new handle, so hopefully I don't dig into any potatoes here. But I'm coming in from far away, and I can already see, can you see those potatoes there? Bring up, that plant's completely rotted out, but as you can see, it hasn't affected the fact that there are potatoes underneath. This one's a little bit, it looks like it's been chewed into actually. These are decent sizes for a plant that hasn't been in the ground for very long. Still, there would have been more if it had been in the ground a bit longer. Hang on a second, there are some more here. So these are the Dutch cream potatoes. I believe that's it. That is all that's in the ground here. And this soil is quite dense. This might be the reason. So I've put compost and manure here, but there's not a dripper here as well. The dripper is up here. Perhaps it's just, yeah, it's interesting. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, I've just found my label. It says the 12th of the 8th. So I planted them in August, and these are Nicola potatoes, not Dutch cream. These are definitely Nicola ones. So there we go. That's what I've gotten from this little plant here that has died away. And this is quite firm. This is quite firm, and this is why you should add your manure and compost in autumn and just a thin layer in spring. I've popped a huge amount on top and it's quite dense. It needs a good winter with lots of rain to break down a bit. So it'll be perfect for next year. I'm going to break this up, and I'm not going to plant anything else here until autumn. I'm going to let this pumpkin do its thing. Right, I'm going to pull these radishes out. Whew. That's a big radish that's going to seed. There's a few in here that I can use. So there's a few radishes from this patch that can be eaten, but I have already harvested lots of radishes from this section, and this is the second sowing of radishes in between the potatoes here. Alright, here's the potatoes right here. Let's see what we dig up in this section. And again, it's really, really solid dirt on the top here. Far out, that is majorly solid. You can see all the compost. There's nothing in the top part of this. Alright, I've never seen the soil like this before, and perhaps it is because it's on the edge of the garden. I can see a potato right there. And this one's got a couple of holes in it too. Alright, the plant's gone down this way, so I think I'm going to find more when I dig along here. Oh, here's one over here. So these are Nicola potatoes as well. Let's have a little dig around. There's another one and another one. There's some little tiny ones as well. Alright, so I don't want to dig too far this way because I've got my tomato plant growing here. This stuff is really hard to break up. Oh my goodness. Never seen the manure like this in other sections of the garden. Alright, there's another potato plant that's died just here. Let's have a little squeeze. There we go. Well, there wasn't much in there. I'm just going to break up this soil a bit. I think I might dig up this one too. Alright, let's see what's here. Now these potatoes look much bigger and healthier. And that's possibly because they've had the plants, survived longer than the other ones that I've harvested. So these are a better size potato. Look at those. Now my garden is a no-dig garden, but I do dig up my potatoes. And I do dig little holes to bury my potatoes as well. So it's not, completely no-dig. The whole point of the no-dig is that I'm, not disturbing the whole entire garden and therefore bringing up all of those weed seeds. These ones aren't as big as the one I just harvested, but there's still a good bundle there. Let's have another look and see if we can find any more. There's some Desiree potatoes. This must have come up from last year's potatoes. Look at that. Yes, definitely. I don't remember planting these this year. I'll have to look in my records, but I'm pretty sure this has come up from a little seed potato that got left in the ground. So got a little bundle of Desiree potatoes there. This one's been munched into a bit. It's got some holes. Oh, look, it's got a grub in it. I have never had a grub in my potatoes before. There you go. Alright, so that's all I'm going to harvest today. I can tell my soil needs some good work here. So here are the grubs that are living in the potatoes. Well, this potato in particular. I think there's another one or two in there. I've never seen this in my garden, but last year I did use a lot of potatoes that I just purchased from the shop. So perhaps these have just come from those potatoes. So this year I just purchased potato seeds from nurseries and from diggers. And it's clear to me that I need to keep doing that because these ones that come from store-bought potatoes, even though they're organic, they can bring in pests like this. So yeah, got to be careful there. That one's just gone all the way back into the potato. I'm going to take this inside and ID the bugs. Just make sure that, it is the potato caterpillar. Well, there we have it. We have our first harvest of potatoes, and I'm not sad about it, even though these plants clearly really struggled in the soil that I have here and the layering of compost and manure that I did. I did it quite thickly, and perhaps that's what's caused it. Whereas if I layer it with a bit of straw, then a bit of manure, a bit of straw, manure as I'm building up around the plants to try and, get as many potatoes as I can, I think that will be more beneficial than what I've done here. So to me, layering quite, decent layers of manure this time hasn't worked, even though in the past it has. It's just a good reminder that sometimes, depending on where you get the manure as well and what's in your compost that you've been growing, sometimes it just needs a little bit of help with some other matter in it to sort of let the water through, and so it doesn't get too dense. So I'm pretty happy with this harvest, and we're going to eat these, or some of these, for dinner tonight. I shall pop on the screen how much I have harvested today from the 5 plants that I dug up. I have noticed that there are more plants behind me that are ready to harvest, but I'm going to leave those for another day. The good thing about potatoes is they can stay in the ground until you're ready to harvest them. I believe these 2 here are my prized potatoes this morning, and I'm going to go inside and check out that little grub that's in the potato over there. Thank you for watching, my friends. I hope your garden is thriving, and I will see you in the next video.